All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the September 9th, 2024 workshop. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to start this workshop off with department head reports. First off, we have Sheriff Nowlin. Come on down. What's that?
I'm the first contestant.
Yeah.
You could be one of number 3.
Yeah. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Okay. My report. Calls for service continue to grow. I'm down to 63 FTEs because of the 10 that you removed, plus the resignations of others. I'm also out 7 out of those 63. 3 are on injury leave, 2 are workman comp related. 2 are on still administrative leave because of the officer-involved shooting. And 2 are in the hospital, and I don't know that they're going to recover with some serious medical conditions. The condition of the sheriff's office is that we're running ragged due to lack of resources. I'm already have expended the overtime just in the detention budget itself. I have 2.5 FTEs working the jail, and that's why we have to call in 2 others so that we can try and have 4, 3 at the minimum. The number of detention deputies does not meet the standard that's required for the number of inmates that we have. We're going to have to take a serious look about what we do with this jail and the inmates that come in and out. I am exploring other avenues with other sheriffs in the state, as well as the laws that what the county can do as far as limiting the number of inmates that we have in this facility. The Victim Rights Act or VRA crimes are mandatory. Of course, serious felony crimes and serving sentences would be mandatory. The largest contributor to the jail is the city of Cortez. It just is. Their municipal arrests are very minimal, but they're arresting a lot on state charges, which are mainly protection order crimes that I've had meetings with the judges about, where they will release these people, issue a protection order that prohibits them from consuming alcohol or drugs when they are addicts, okay, with nothing else. And instead of issuing a summons, they're arrested when they're contacted in town. It's a real dilemma, and we're going to have to work together about what to do with that, because I have no applicants whatsoever for detention deputies. This is a serious matter, okay? Whether it's perception or perceived, or whether it is what it is, the members of this office feel that they are underappreciated, that things have been done to demean and demoralize the morale in this agency, and it's hard to keep together. I'm just being honest with you, okay? I'm working 7 days a week. That's my job, and that's what I do. I have a real issue when it comes down to As far as the town of Dolores, I know that you want this contract, but I can tell you this right now, I don't have the resources to even meet it. I don't. Okay? And continue to go after them for that is, I mean, it's not going to help anything. The same way with the school resource officers. With what's going on in this country, in our state, in our society right now, there's no way that we can't protect our schools, which is a soft target. Just yesterday, I spent all day investigating a threat to the Dolores School that came in through Safe to Tell. The student who's age 14 is no longer going to be in school, but this is a serious threat. And I'm not going away. I can't, and I won't. That's my job. I will do everything that I possibly can. And I'm just asking for your help to help me do my job to protect the citizens in this county. So our jail costs are going to continue to increase. We have a jail inspection that'll be coming up with the Attorney General's office soon. We have traveler's insurance that will be doing an inspection of the jail later this month, I believe. You'll receive the reports on those so that you're kept informed with what's going on. Okay? So it's not bright, but the sky's not falling. Doing all right. The thing is that I'm just concerned about the safety of our citizens and the deputies. Running 2 deputies at a time is just not enough. And the problem is that our criminal element is continuing to grow, and they know it. That's a problem. Okay? These crimes are not going to go away. Our drug problem is not going to go away. The OCDF case that's in progress now is hopefully can be concluded by the end of the year. That'll be 29 arrests that'll be handled and prosecuted federally. But every time we do this, and it's a lot of work, but if I didn't have the partnership with the federal agencies and BIA to get this case done, we would be completely undermanned and outgunned. We already are. We're seizing and buying pounds. It's not ounces anymore. Fentanyl, methamphetamine is the biggest. Once we take out these organized importers that are trafficking drugs into Montezuma County and through Cortez, it creates a void. And that void is left open for no more than 60 days, and it's filled back in. We're up against the demand for the drugs by the people in our country, in our county, in our cities, and the supply will never go away so long as the demand is there, and there's nothing that we can do to stop that other than continue to do what we do. And I just want you to see the realization of what's going on, okay? Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank
you. I think we do see the realization. That's why in November there's a public safety sales tax on the ballot. Because as you can see later, if you stick around, you can see Bill 24B 1001, the property tax revenue.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
significant, which we all have to deal with. So yeah, sure, we get it.
Well,
So
I get it too
thank you.
on the street end. Thank you.
George, Coroner.
Okay, so far this year, we're a little under last year. August was a new record month for me. I only had 2 deaths, which was amazing. But right now for the year to date, I've had 182 deaths. That includes 88 of them coroner cases and 62 of them being hospice cases. We've done 31 autopsies. We've had 5 motor vehicle accidents. 2 of those were from the plane crash. I'm at 8 suicides, 2 overdoses, 2 hypothermia deaths, and 1 homicide. So a little bit under last year, but at the end of July, I was 2 off of last year. So right now I'm at 20 under last year at this time. But that can change in a month.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
any questions?
No, I mean, yeah. You're under. That's good.
Yeah, no, it's real good. Let's stay that
Yeah.
way.
Absolutely.
Thanks, George.
All right.
Thanks, Jordan.
Road and Bridge, Rob.
So I was gonna go over a couple of jobs that we did this summer, we've been working on for a couple of years. So first is at Camel Slide, go ahead.
That's been more than a couple of years.
It's been about 3 years, yeah. So that's been going on quite a while, but we did finally develop a plan down there that seems to have worked. We got the wells in, we put the water line in, you remember all that? The stability has been real good in the last 3 years. We haven't seen any more movement, any more sliding, anything going on in that little draw there. So we went ahead and started putting it all back together this year. See a couple of pictures, that's an aerial view, what the area looks like now. The one before is what it looked like back in 2017. You can see the big hole there that was developed back about 3 years ago. So we got a little dozer and we went and started putting dirt back in. And what we did is we benched down in the bottom and then we come up about 12, 15 feet. You can see where the excavator set, and then we stepped in about 8 feet and then we come on up and we matched the grade of the road, the existing old shoulder of the road there. And we brought some material up from a camel pit, some 2.5-inch crushed stone that we put together. Packed it all in there, walked it in, and track walked the slopes, and I think we're back in business again. We can sleep at night without worrying about that road failing there. So there's kind of just another view of the finished product. Then McCamel Rock, that happened here about a month ago, middle of the night. All that come crashing down. It's like our little memorial rock at 145 up there, just a little smaller, but anyway, nonetheless, it was in the road and we barricaded off and got an excavator in there with a hammer on it and busted it all down and carried off the better part of it, the bigger chunks for riprap, and then the rest of it we shoved back up underneath there because, quite frankly, we weren't sure if more wouldn't come down. The way it's precariously setting there and failing, we were a little nervous about it just coming down while we were under it. So we just left all that up there. It's off the road, plenty of distance off the road, and there's just some support underneath all that. Shoved it back up in there. And then the big flood last week, that was another big event that we haven't seen in 10 years I've been here, down Weber Canyon. This is the road that goes down the canyon. That was one event one night. I got a call from a landowner down there about 2:30 in the morning, basically saying we're in trouble. So we got down there early that next morning with backhoes and found all this. And this is the road. These are rocks that are laying in the road down there now. And we're not going to get those people out of there without getting after it real quick. So we kind of carved ourselves a road in there and got some of them out of there and then spent the next 4 days just pushing things out of the way. That's the old bridge that takes care of East Canyon. And it's plugged up completely underneath. And it ran over the bridge. And we're going to have to get back in there and work on that now after a bit here and let things dry out a little bit. But yeah, that was McCamel Canyon. So that was a trip in the night one night. So that was about a week or 2 weeks ago. So.
Is there any question on the stability of the bridge?
Looks okay, Kent, but I haven't inspected it enough. We still got to dig it out, and we're going to have to work with the landowners down there, which is what we're hoping. They'll get their fences out of the way and get us in there where we can go into there and dig it out. But I don't know until we can get in there and see what we got. So it needed to dry out some. So I don't think there's any problem, but I'll let you know.
Okay.
So that's some things that I just wanted to show what we've been doing all summer. So Thursday I sent you guys a package over for the RFP for advertisement. I wanted to review that with you and see if you're acceptable to what we provided you or provided to send out for bidding for engineering.
Rob, I think it looks real good. I think I think you did a good job. Number one, first of all, from just a quick review of it. And then basically in the two options, and it sounds like maybe we have option one is the best option.
Yeah.
If we have a willing property owner.
I did. I met with him Friday. He was on a fishing trip, so it took me a week and a half to finally get caught up with him. And very nice man and very willing to work with us. And we did a handshake agreement that said we'll pursue a new intersection at that location rather than the old location. And so I'll just take option number 2 out of it. We'll just drop that out. So.
Perfect. And then the other thing too, if I read this properly, it sounds like you guys are going to do, it sounds like our crews will do,
We'd
or
like
at least
to.
provide all of the material and then do all the work except for the actual,
I don't know about on the highway. I don't like getting out there with CDOT. I mean, we might bid that part out. But as far as realigning the road, we're
Yeah.
fully capable of that. Of course, paving, all that would have to
Right.
come from a subcontractor. But getting out on the 184 and working in CDOT's territory is kind of weird. You just don't really want to do that. So without all this right stuff and right contractors and everything, because you're going to have to go through a lot of stuff to work out there with CDOT. And quite frankly, I'm surprised they don't have a design already sitting on the table ready to go, you know. Pull it out of a drawer and put it in. So
yeah.
that shocks me that they don't, because I'll bet you if they were doing it, they did. So, but anyway, we can work on that with an engineer too.
But it looks like, yeah, we've got a lot of our own staff doing the biggest majority of it.
We're
We
going to
won't
give
get all
it
of it.
everything we
but,
can, yeah.
So that, I like that. That makes good sense. So I didn't have any issues with,
No, I
with
didn't.
anything. I'm sure.
Because if you want to edit something, send it to me and scan it, right line it or something, we'll make some changes, so.
I'm going to have to sit down with you to go through it because I didn't see any edits that just off the top of my head going through it. I've went through it twice already. I think we get the engineering firm and.
Well, that's all
when
this
we'll-
is we'll just pick a firm that we trust
Just-
that can engineer it for us, and then
Yeah.
we go from there, so.
And this will be to follow the procurement policy to go out to bid for an engineering firm and then it begins.
Yeah, so we'll pull that option out of the old access and move it over and work with the landowner and make that happen, so, or at least put it out. Now, I don't know, I guess you're giving me a green light to put it out for bid if I do those things next week or whatever, if we make them changes. It ain't very hard to take that out of there now, so.
No, I don't see any reason to not take it out of there and go out to add. I mean, I think it could be what,
Well, I think we have it on the agenda for approval tomorrow.
yeah, so after that, then you could get it out to add.
Well, it's gotta go out for what, a week, is that right? 2
I
weeks,
would put it
4
out for longer
weeks.
than a week.
It's at least 14 days.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I got you, so. Well, that's it.
A quick note, I had a gentleman stop me and thank me for having his rope, I didn't do it, but thanked everybody for getting his weeds mowed alongside of his rope.
Oh, yeah.
That's twice this year, so did you get 2 thank yous?
Yes,
We had time to do it twice so far, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then, you know, we mowed in late spring, and it was looking pretty good, and then it rained, and then here come the kochia, and nobody controls kochia,
yeah.
you know, so we had to let it go for a while. We didn't want to jump on it too quick, and it was a while, so we're busy. Cortez is done, Mancus, Dolores has got the mowers, and then they'll move out to the roundup, so anyway,
But I told him I'd pass that along to you guys.
well, we appreciate it, thanks, so,
Very good.
okay, good, thanks.
All right.
See you guys.
Thanks, Rob. James Dietrich. We're going to talk about natural resources
And obnoxious weeds.
and kochia. Oh, wait a minute. That's not noxious weeds. That's obnoxious weeds, not noxious weeds.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
First thing I want to do is introduce our new weed technician to everybody who may have not met him. This is Russell Smith.
Nice to meet you.
Good
And
afternoon.
I'm really thrilled to have Russell on staff. He's been doing really good. He's been starting from behind, but catching up rapidly. So, we've had Russell out doing the work on our own properties. The other thing he's been doing is just really trying to get all the equipment organized and repaired and functional and everything. So I'll let Russell talk about the properties he's been doing. We've been focusing on the county properties, and I think we have about, two two of the road departments left?
Yeah,
Or something to do?
two of those
Anyway,
left.
I'll let you kind of go over what you.
Yeah, I got all of the gravel pits done. I got the fairgrounds mostly done, and the and parts of the dump. But I'm trying to get to the road departments.
And make sure you call that a landfill,
Yeah,
because we
land-
do have the landfill supervisor in here, and he may take offense to that.
Sorry,
That is not a dump, that is a landfill.
landfill.
Dump's a four-lettered word.
So yeah, other
Just
than that,
warning you.
Yeah. So that's about as far as I am at the moment. So,
Good, how much do you have left to do then?
Not too much. I would say probably about 4 or 5 more properties, I think.
Okay, there are our properties, and that's all we're
Correct.
focusing on anyway, right?
Yeah.
That's correct. We're focused on nothing but our properties. But Russell also does go out and he provides the education and the outreach to people that call, and especially like, work directly with Dawn and Jane. So if we get subdivision proposals that come through, then he's able to go out, meet with the landowner, provide some input to them, and develop a plan if it's necessary. And sometimes it isn't. But I've been getting some really good reports on Russell. He went out to the Zuma Bicycle Ranch, I think that's what they call it, but it's down there at the road at the end of Road N. But that individual came up and just wanted to thank the Noxious Weed Department in the county for having Russell be able to go out, and he was very pleased with the information that Russell was able to provide him, and had some really good ideas on what he can do to help take care of his property out there. So we're getting some good feedback already, in particular with Russell. We're getting, of course, some complaints, about noxious weeds in the roadway and things like that. But again, we're working through all that kind of stuff, and given where we started this year, I think, just hearing from Rob, we got the mowing done now, so I think that's going to help alleviate a lot of people's concerns. Again, everybody knows what a thistle looks like. So if they see a thistle in the right of way, then they get pretty alarmed. But again, we're focused on noxious A list weeds, and so a lot of people just don't even recognize those out in the right of way. But that'll be something we can. We can provide some assistance to the road department for identification and stuff like that, because the mapping is something we've still got to do. So, and that'll be something that we focus on over the next couple of weeks here, because we're running out of time. Everything's starting to turn brown on us and stuff. So we'll get out and do as much mapping as we can possibly do. But it probably won't be the extent that it was done last year. Anyway, we'll just get an earlier start next year and do a better job. So. We're getting a lot of information, really. It's coming in through the cost share program. Some of the later applicants, I've been asking them to do a little bit of mapping on their own, just download an aerial photograph and just show us, what you sprayed and where you sprayed. And so some folks have been doing that. So that'll help out a lot. I've got a record of that, and I can, over the next couple of months before we start doing our reporting, I can get all that entered into GIS then, and that'll give us a pretty good base to work from, but it won't be perfect this year. Hopefully next year we'll just be able to jump on it
Early.
at the appropriate time. So the cost share is up to about 150 applicants at this point, and I would say we've got probably about $8,500 left to go. So that has been very successful for this year, and kind of working through those applicants. Work in McElmo for the Phreatophyte project. That project is ended. The road department helped us get that equipment out of there last week. So we got that cat out of there, the 309, and all the other equipment is back up at the road shop at this point. And then Russell will be working within the road shop, weed shop out there, just to try to get all of our equipment inside and out of the weather. Some of that stuff we may not need. We'll have to decide later on, what we're going to keep, what we're going to get rid of. But we want to get it out of the weather and get it stored away as best we can.
Have you got a good inventory of all that equipment yet?
We've got a pretty decent inventory. I mean, there's still stuff we don't know who bought what.
Okay.
So, some of the, obviously the hand equipment, stuff like that, looks like that's Noxious Weed Department. There's some things like that UTV. Who paid for that initially, I don't know for sure at this point. It looks like it probably came through a grant, but it's essentially in possession of the road department. So you know, and the road department seems very flexible with it, so if, you know, one of us need it for something, I think we can still tap into it and use that, so. But the two ATVs are the ones that we really need, and then one truck, and then we've got that trailer. And then beyond that, I think, you know, that other equipment, I don't see the noxious weed department needing that, so if the road department has need for it, then we're happy to let them use it. So we'll just kind of figure that out as we go. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So I've talked to the other individuals, or not all of them, but I've worked through that list. We had 4 properties that were hanging out from that RCPP, the Phreatophyte project. So I did talk with Gina Montoya, and she is a little bit upset. So I think she may come in and provide some input. Mike Preston, he understands it pretty good. The other 2, I haven't got a signed contract for those folks. I'll make the effort to reach out to them, but whether or not we've got a contract with them or not is kind of up in the air as far as the way I see it right now. So, and then, you know, for the rest of this year, we're planning to just get out and continue doing the mapping. We'll hit that really hard for the next couple of weeks, and then we'll just start you know, getting ourselves ready for next year. We want to focus a lot on really doing the education and outreach, and so Russell and I will work together on, you know, kind of coming up with a program for that next year. And we certainly want to get engaged more with the extension service and try to make sure that we get our presence out there.
James, I have a quick question, just for the public knowledge. Have you come up with a potential figure of what we're going to have to supplement that Phreatophyte property for?
Well, yeah, we came up with a potential figure for that, which looks like around 20,000.
That the county's going to have to supplement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You know, and there's still some question about that because we've got to go through that certification process. That's my figure. Whether or not NRCS agrees with that figure remains to be seen. But well, we've alerted them to it, and so, and that's the other thing. I just want to mention that we are going through the certification process on that with NRCS. So we'll probably make another trip down there in the next couple of weeks to try to get all that wrapped up. So I guess that's about it for the noxious weed program, unless we've got some other questions.
That Phreatophyte, those contracts, what's the date on those? Do you have any idea?
Well, I couldn't give you an answer on that, can't, right off the
Okay.
top of the head.
I think it was a 3-year contract, right?
Yeah, it looks like
If I'm
it gets
correct,
spread over
so it
3
was signed
years.
in 21 or 22, 21?
Yeah, that's probably correct,
21?
probably 21, 22.
But
That's
here's the
correct.
deal, the contracts were not signed by the commissioners at all.
Right.
Right.
And anyway, I won't go down that gravel road right now, but, yeah, we just can't subsidize a Phreatophyte program that's not paying for itself,
Yeah.
period.
Exactly.
So that's, we'll stay with what the state statute says we have to do and provide our mapping and our education and do our own properties, and that's kind of where we're at. I mean,
Yeah.
they keep taking away, what you're gonna find out here pretty quick. It's hard to continue to provide more services when we don't have any revenue,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Then I do have a couple of quick items here for the Natural Resources Department. So the first one is a memorandum of agreement, and this is through FEMA. And as the commissioners are aware, FEMA has been working on remapping some of the drainages in Montezuma County. And what they're doing is providing basically just more information. So we're moving from approximate zone A to zone AE, which means that they're bringing more data to the table, and so that consists of a zoning change. What I'm trying to do is hold off on the change to the AE as much as possible, because the AE is the most difficult one to actually manage. What they really, and we're getting mixed messages on this, CWCB wants us to treat it as if it's all floodway until floodway is established. FEMA has a little different take on that, and they say that we can establish our own process, and so that's what we've done. And so the AE at this time, we can move them through, and generally what I'm just asking for is just a letter from an engineer that states that there's no rise. So they certify that no rise, and we're pretty much good to go on that. Now, if we get a floodway that's actually designated, then that triggers a whole nother series of basically studies that prove up the no rise. And there's no way out of that. So I'm trying to hold ourselves to the AE as long as possible. And if they decide they're going to put us into a floodway within, probably the Dolores River is the most likely on that. That floodway, we will want to, that's not imminent at this point. We've asked them not to do the designated floodway. If at some point we get to the point where they want to designate that floodway, we want to review that very, very carefully because things that happen within that floodway are going to be a lot more outside of our control. And it'll cost a whole lot more to do that development, so we want to kind of keep that to a minimum. Given the level of development that we have in any of the major drainages that we see here, it's just not a huge amount of development. So we're not getting to 30, 40 lot subdivisions, things like that. So right now, things are looking pretty good. If we start seeing it move in that direction, we'll probably see, FEMA starting to encourage us more strongly to ask for that floodway designation. But right now, we're just trying to keep the status quo. And that's essentially where we come into this with this memorandum of agreement with FEMA. And we've reviewed this with the emergency manager, with all the communities. We've reviewed it with GIS department. So everybody's had some eyes on this. They've come down, they've had 2 community meetings with us. So we've had an opportunity to provide input. And I feel like at this point, this memorandum of agreement puts us in about the best place we can be at this time. So this would be something that I would ask to bring forward tomorrow or possibly next week for a signature on.
Okay, any questions?
No.
Okay.
And then, I'm sorry?
No, I'm good.
No,
Okay.
Go ahead.
looked at it.
The last thing I have is just a simple letter of support that came from the city of Cortez. They're talking about extending a gravel trail south down towards County Road G within CDOT right-of-way mostly. And so I just provided them a simple letter of support for that. And they would be asking for the MMOF funding, some of which is what we returned. And I've just asked for a signature for that tomorrow.
Be nice to keep that
Appropriate.
in our own county again, since we had to give it away, and keep people off the highway as much as possible. That'd be great.
I think so, and I think it really kind of dovetails into our project anyway. We've had discussions about trail going south, even as far as Toyoak, and of course that's way off into the future. But this would be the initial portion of that, and if that ever becomes a real project, why then this will lead right into it. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
That concludes the report.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Russell.
Nice to meet you.
All right, landfill, Mr. Jarmon.
Should have my budget up there, Travis. End of July, if you want to scroll all the way to the bottom, kind of show them where we're at as of the end of July. So with what we've already spent on the Cell 5 build, this is where we're at. And I think the way things are looking, I don't think we're going to need to borrow any money.
Oh, good.
We'll see. I just got another bill today for 100,000 and something, but as long as it's taken and what's coming in, I think it's gonna be real close, but I think we're gonna be fine.
And our liners are still supposed to be in this month, right?
Well,
September?
they're at a standstill right now. They're not even on site. The subgrade's done. The liner, we were waiting for them to build it. They got it built, it's in testing, but the company sold out to another company. Now there's a paperwork nightmare with it. It's just what I found out Friday. But my engineer's on it. He's going over the lab test that they have to do on the liner. And we have Zoom meeting, phone call meeting or something like that in the morning with Consci and the engineers to see where we're at and the way things are looking. But it's in testing. As soon as he gets results from that, they should ship it. So hopefully it'll be done by the end of the month, I hope. I'll know more tomorrow.
Well, we're still looking good. Even if we get it by the end of the month, we still have October, November. We should still be in good shape,
Well,
shouldn't we?
I think so.
Yeah.
Hope so. Couple things coming up. Baylor's working fine for now. I still have to send another SLC card off. But we do have a couple things coming up the public might be interested in. John Armstrong has a machine that sorts recycling plastics. They've built, and they want to come down. They're going to do that on October 3rd. I think Travis was CC'd on those emails. To demo those units. There's really nothing they can do for us at our landfill because of the way they do things. They're more geared up for communities that don't have a recycling program. They can come in there and sort the plastics and take it. So, but we're going to provide them a place to demo their machine. They're also going to be in Durango. But they'll be here on October 3rd. October 26th, with the League of Women Voters in the city of Cortez, we're going to be doing an e-waste event. The League of Women Voters got a grant, so they're going to do a 50% cost share on people bringing in e-waste for that day and provide help and people to box it all up.
E-waste, Mel, can you explain that so the
Electronic
public
waste,
understands
TVs,
it?
printers, computers, stuff like that.
Anything electronic,
Anything electronic, not electrical, but electronic.
correct.
Right. And then November 4th, Colby's been in contact, Colby from the city recycling program. Montezuma Leadership Tour wants to come down and take a tour of the landfill with 20, 30 people on November 4th. So, good things for the public to come see. The local news did a short TV episode on the landfill, Baylor being up and running, and filmed it making a bale. So I haven't got any
saw
more
that.
hate mail.
I did see that.
So that's kind of where we're at the landfill. Just pretty busy.
All right, very good. So we're still looking probably the end of November to get it done, cell 5?
I'm
If the
hoping-
liner's shipped
If the liners ship, I mean, Simbeck can put them liners in
a week,
a week, and then they've got to put in, and then Consci's got to spread that gravel.
and then they're,
That's going to take a week or two.
yeah,
And then Simbeck has to put it on that DO textile liner on top. And it's up to the engineers to do the CEQA report, send it off to CDPHE.
so hopefully we should be done easily by the end of November.
God, I would hope so. I'm hoping at
If
the
we don't
end.
have weather.
Well, that's just it, you know, and y'all are aware of the stormwater issue and the new PFAS testing and stuff, and got in touch with some different labs. We have to use a certified lab that's EPA certified, and there's about 10 of them in the United States. Got all set to send my sample to one of them. They sent me the collection kits and called them, got ready to send it. Their machine went down to test PFAS. So can't send them them. I'm contacted two other, waiting on a cost from Pace Analyticals, which is a huge testing laboratory. Another one, AB Labs. It's $1,600 per test with that lab. Still waiting on a test from Pace, but. And the other issue I've got is that creek that we collect the storm water in. Very seldom do we get a light rain, causes a nice trickle down there to collect the storm water in the collection device. The last one that came down through there bent the post over and my collection device half filled with mud. So, and when I called them, they said, well, that's not even enough to sample, throw it away. So, I don't know, I've emailed the state to see what they want me to do. May have to put in some kind of new collection device. The one lab, my collection device collects 1 liter. They want almost 4.
Can you riprap it above it to slow it down to get your collection?
So that's a
before
natural
you-
drainage.
I understand
Yeah,
that,
so
but
we're gonna get into Army Corps of Engineers on something like that?
you might contact them, but I mean, if you have to slow it just to get your, 4 liters is still not that much.
No, it's not.
mean,
I mean, I can put in other
33
collection
ounces times
devices.
4, you should be able to get that if you just slow if you can slow it a little bit, but just call them. You're not detaining it, you're just slowing it with riprap.
Erosion mitigation.
Well, I'll contact them and then maybe have Rob come down and help me with it.
And that would give you enough to get your 4 liters to get
We'll
to
have to
it.
put in, yeah, because our collection device, the way they're designed, it only holds 1 liter. So we're gonna have to come up with something different. And I sent an email to the lady that's in charge of this permit to see what her suggestions would be on it. But about the only time I get a normal runoff is spring runoff, which we didn't have any in that draw
Right.
this year. And then that last big rain we had, it came down there and just, sometimes it just, the one time it took the whole thing out, just took it, I never found it. The water was over 15 feet deep down there. So, I'll see what the state says and keep you all informed, but that's where I'm at with that. It's gonna be $1,600 or better for testing of that PFAS every time it storms.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
All right. Thank you, Mel.
Thanks, Mel.
Justin, Fairgrounds.
All right. So we've had quite a bit going on out there throughout the summer. We've just had north of 61,000 in attendance up to the end of last month, which consisted of about 23 events. Our kitchen rentals are about 15. We're trying to up that a little bit. We're also trying to up our meeting room rentals out there, so kind of show you kind of where we're at this year to date on those, or actually to the end of this last month. But some of the events that we have done these last few months since the last report, back in June, we did have the U Mountain PRCA Rodeo that we do annually. It did turn out to be probably their best event they've ever had. They're moving in the right direction out there. Some of the smaller stuff that we had in June was a couple little private party events, and then we had the large animal evacuation tabletop exercise out there, and then the CERT meeting, which they're thinking about doing another CERT meeting out there coming up. So we're trying to utilize some of those meeting rooms with those. Car races have been running out there as well. They've been doing good. Moving into the end of June, we had our monster truck show. That was a first for that. It had a really good turnout. We packed that outdoor arena for that event. So that's something I'm trying to get back in for next year. Maybe hopefully be an annual thing for a few years, and we might try to see if we can't run it during fair time next year, kind of help fair out a little bit. The Ag Expo, they did their ranch rodeo this year like they always normally try to do at the end of June. It turned out good. And then going into July, we had some car races again, and then we kind of got into the end of July to our county fair. So that took a lot of our time and effort, and the fair turned out really good this year. I didn't have any complaints really. It seemed like everything went smooth and just as good as it could. So I want to thank those guys for what they did to put that on. August, we had a CDOT rodeo like we generally do at the beginning of August come out. Also had some more car races. I think they did 4 different nights in August, sorry. And then we had some barrel races running in August. And then we just had the Hearst Family Services here back in August 24th out there. So that kind of rounded out our August. Coming up, which we actually just got done with this weekend, was our high school rodeo that we try to run. We usually have it Labor Day, but for some reason the state didn't want them to run Labor Day this year, so we actually ran it just this last weekend. Hopefully we can get it back for Labor Day is kind of what we're hoping, because they can run an extra day if we do. But that's just all going to kind of be dependent on what we can work with the state. So, but it was a real good showing. We have lots of kids come out there, high school and junior high, to run this rodeo, and it's good for them. We also have some county council meetings that are going to start being out there at the fairgrounds for the rest of this year. They run once a month. I believe it's the second Monday of each month. We have car races coming up on September 20th and 21st, which is going to be his last weekend for this year. And then he is interested in looking at renewing his contract again, so that's something I'll probably come back to you here in a couple months once I start talking to him on what his look is for the future, and see if we can agree to something else moving on. But we also have the Cross 7 barrel race again coming out. It's September 21st and 22nd on that, but we actually had to postpone it to October 5th and 6th. But they'll be coming out here in just a few weeks. And then here in a couple of weeks, we're going to have the For Pet's Sake yard sale out there again. That's an annual that's been running the last several years out there. Real huge yard sale. They take donations from people, and that helps them raise money for that program. The Jordan World Circus, it's another event that we've been having pretty much annually out there. It's going to be in our outdoor arena. Got a couple little private events again. The FFA leadership event, we're looking at trying to put on October 11th in the indoor arena. That's something new that we haven't had out there before, so they're wanting to kind of use our facility for that. And in the square dancing, we're going to host the square dancing out there this year instead of it being at the annex building. They're going to use a couple of our meeting rooms out there and run that for that 3-day deal at the end of October. November, Four States Junior Rodeo. It runs every November, so we're getting it back in November. Then the Futures Fair, which we ran earlier this year, which was, I believe, March off the top of my head, or April it could have been. They're actually looking at running that December 4th, which is something for the school program that the kids can come out and see different, kind of like a job fair deal. Also coming up this winter, we'll be getting into a lot of the practices again, where we have our high school team and 4-H and roping teams coming out and doing weekly practices every day of the week. So that kind of gives you an idea what they do Sunday through Friday out there. And that's pretty much it for what we're running to the end of the year. A couple other little things just to kind of update you guys about. I am looking at getting back a hold to Empire about our solar project that we did and changing our plans for that. I do think it would be beneficial for us to possibly change our plan now that I've seen some data come in. So I am going to get in talks with them here in the next month and see if maybe there's something that will be beneficial for us to do before the start of next year.
That was projected to go to general 3-phase, right? Instead of the large power 3-phase?
Yes, correct. So if we change it, that's what it would go to, would be the general 3-phase, as long as everybody's on agreeing terms from the large power. From what I see, it would be some more cost saving for us. Throughout the year, I would anticipate it would be about another $5,000 per year cost saving to us from what we're saving now. But I just wanted to kind of talk to them, kind of see what they've saw over the last few months since we've had it in compared to what I've seen. So,
because we've been up and running now since May, correct?
Yes, it was actually, yeah, I believe May.
It was May,
It was
like
May, yeah.
towards the end of May.
Yeah. So we've got a few big events on it. So kind of gives me a general idea of what it's doing. And hopefully it's enough data for us to kind of get an idea. So I just want to let you know, hopefully here in a couple months, I'll be coming to you with that. We talked about getting some quotes for doing our sidewalk on the east side of our indoor building. That sidewalk is 300 foot long. It's approximately just right under 6 foot wide. I do have one quote back. I had a guy come look at it today, a contractor. He's supposed to be getting me something, and I got another guy coming tomorrow. So I should have 3 or 4 quotes hopefully by next week. So my plan is to get those into you guys. I'm hoping next week. If not, it'll be the week after. And then we can decide if we want to move forward with that project.
And that was just on the east side where it's deteriorated the worst? What about the north side?
That was just the east side. The north side, I don't know that we really need to mess with the north side, to be honest. It's good all the way on the north side. The problem with the east side was in the past, before they had gutters on that building, all that rain would just fall down shed and tear that sidewalk out. Now that there's gutter systems up there, you know, whatever we do now would be protected. I really don't think it would be beneficial for us to do the north side sidewalk, unless you guys really want me to look into that. But in my opinion, that sidewalk is still good.
Okay.
As far as trying to do any asphalt work where our ADA parking is, or our handicap parking, I did kind of talk to Travis here a while back with finance, and we kind of discussed that and would think it would be easier to try to set up a budget for next year for that and run a bid on it, because it's going to be a substantial cost. I did go get a kind of a quote on it, so we got a general ballpark idea of what we'd be looking at doing that, but I think we were kind of thinking it would be best to kind of set that up for 2025. The sidewalk, though, however, we could get done by the end of the year, fairly easy. So sounded like November was everybody's timeline for when they could get out there and work on that, which would work with my schedules. That's pretty much all I have for you guys.
Are you gonna put, I know that we talked about this, but the downspouts you're gonna put then into a pipe to get out of there, the water out of there? Or?
So right now, the downspouts on that side of the building just run out into the lot. The one on the corner goes into a drain system on it'd be the northeast corner. The rest of them just run out onto the lot. I did not do anything as far as a French drain system or anything like that.
Wouldn't be a French drain system.
But-
It would actually tie them into a drainage, taking them away from the
But
building.
we could
to the
probably,
south.
yeah, we could probably do that fairly easy.
Yeah.
Have those go down into a pipe and then run that pipe right under that sidewalk, right into the existing one that's there.
Keep it on the outside of the sidewalk in case you ever have to do anything to it.
Okay.
Like 8 feet out.
Well, if we go 8 feet out from our sidewalk,
No. You said the sidewalk is 6 feet from the building.
Gotcha.
8
Yeah,
feet
I
from
see.
the building.
I got what you're saying. Yep. I got what
Asphalt's easier to cut than concrete.
Okay.
A lot easier.
No, and that shouldn't be too hard to tie into what we have, because there is a drain over there on that one end that does go underground already and ties into one of our drainage systems. So if we were to take that and tie it in.
Tie it into that drainage system, and then we get it away from that
So I
whole
can have that added into what
ADA
we're doing. Yep.
situation out there at the fairground, because all of the ADA stuff that we're trying to comply with.
Yep. So other than that, I mean, it doesn't look like that would be too tough of a job to get done. You know, we're going to have to move our little AC units, which seemed to be pretty easy when I was talking to the AC and heating guy, and then just do some line locates, because there are electric lines running under that slab in a couple spots. So, and then we do have a gas line running under there, but it seemed like that'd be pretty easy. So as soon as I grab something with that, I'll let you guys know. And that's all I have for my reports.
Okay. Anything else, gentlemen? I had one other thing too, and I know that Commissioner Copenhaver said that the coolers, I think he reported last time, or evaporative coolers for the pig barn
Pig
and
barn and
the
stuff. Yeah.
rabbit barn or whatever, pig barn, I think. Did we ever look at that exhaust system, just that, not even a mechanical system, just a vent at the top?
Are
Just
you
to let
talking
the
about like
hot
the ridge
air-
vents that we were talking about?
Well, just to let the hot air go out.
So I quoted some ridge vents back in, I want to say it was December off the top of my head, right before the new year, where we could do a continuous ridge vent down the top of, it would
Yep.
be the poultry barn and the goat barns, because they were having problems with those being so hot. My concern with it was, I don't know that they were utilizing the exhaust fans that are currently on that building to the best of its ability, plus they were having fans blowing this way and this way into the building. So this year I kind of watched that a lot, plus they got the porta-cools from a Lower Grant Foundation, or a Lower Foundation grant. And so this year they actually seem to be a lot substantially cooler from what they were like.
Did you have a gauge in there?
years. I did not
What
have a
was the
gauge
temp?
in there. It was
worked-
just all,
It was a lot more comfortable in there.
but they
And it was a hot
were
day, too.
comfortable. Yep. So we do have like the wall exhausts up high on those, kind of on the gable ends of that building. So as long as you can run one where it's intaking and run the other where it's exhausting, you kind of get that airflow through there. Plus, if you run your fans on where they lift their doors, if they run their fans and then exhaust out that other side, it seems to help a lot. That was the problem I think we've had in the past, where they were turning their fans and fighting each other. I mean, I can still look into some kind of roof venting if you guys would like. I do think that was
What would it cost?
it was in the neighborhood of $20,000 for both those buildings.
For a ridge vent?
Well, that was for continuous ridge venting, yes. That was to run ridge vents basically the whole length of the building with about a 12-inch throat on it. So what you would do is cut a 12-inch wide hole right at your ridge, and then that continuous vent would sit on top of that, but it would also have dampers in it so you could close and open it. And so when your winter months, if you needed to close them down or whatever you need to do, or your winter months open them up, to certain flow. But it was that neighborhood of.
Do we ever heat those? We don't heat those buildings.
So they do have heaters in them. I've never run them since I've been there. Have they since before me? I don't know.
There's no insulation in those
But
buildings. Why
there
would
isn't
we ever
any
heat 'em?
insulation. So if you would
No
do
water in them.
Yeah, if you do run those heaters, I mean, you're running them to try to keep it a little warm, but we don't really do anything with those except for stalls in the wintertime. The summertime, those buildings just don't get used a lot for anything but stalling. So the biggest problem is the fair, just because they have so many animals in there, and so many people, and they're going in and
Correct.
out.
So
and
it's
all that.
getting rid of the heat, the hot air. It's not about heating the building, because they're not insulated, and I wouldn't
No.
ever want to turn the heat
Yeah.
to pay for the fuel in that building anyway,
No.
with no insulation in it.
No, but I mean, they do have heaters. They do have big heaters in the corners of those buildings, but I've never run them. So. But as far as the ridge vents went, I mean, we kind of looked at that at the end of the last year, and I wanted to kind of see how this year went first before we decided to kind of put that kind of money into it. Plus, we were trying to see where our budgets were going to be. But if we want to go down that road, I can kind of requote those and see where we're at. Or we can do smaller.
It was a lot better
It was.
this year.
I mean, I also don't have to vent the whole building. It's just when I was talking to them, it seemed like if you want your maximum flow, you need to do the whole ridge vent. But we could do sections, we could put maybe 3 10-foot sections on top of those buildings, and they would help.
That's all you need.
So,
I mean, obviously a continuous is by far the best,
mhm.
but if you just do a section
And if we
and
do,
3 different areas that would be plenty, but
If we do that, I mean, we could, spend maybe 5,000, instead of 20. So.
yeah, if you're talking adding dampers and motors, that's where your cost is at.
Yeah.
I was talking just a continuous vent because I
The-
don't,
The only bad thing that I did notice into those continuous vents, it seemed like if you don't have any kind of damper in there, then you do get the possibility of rain coming into them. So you have to have something there to kind of close those off or open them up, from what I was getting. But I didn't look into them too heavily.
pretty rare that you would ever get water coming back through those. Pretty rare. But, okay, very good. Gentlemen, anything else? Commissioner? Okay,
Okay,
all right, thanks.
thank you, gentlemen.
All right, next up.
Panic one.
Dr. Disaster.
How are you?
Afternoon, Commissioners.
Great, how are you?
Afternoon, Ian. Afternoon, Mr. Anderson. So as always, my report's on the website underneath services. You can click on there. You've read the last three.
I replied to it.
You did. I saw that. We've had some nuisances, no disasters. Everything's fine. Rob already gave you the input on some of that flooding that came through in August. And then, of course, it hit Cortez and went south and flooded some homes and blah, blah, blah. The August weather that we get. So unfortunate for some, but no disasters. Our preparedness level for Rocky Mountain is a 2. 1 is the minimum, 2 up to 5 is maximum preparedness level. The national level is 5 right now because of all the fires in the nation, but we're at a 2, and it's moderate. And you guys, I've sent out the indices. You have a look at those. We're at moderate. We're at 2, so should be good for the rest of the year. And I really don't have any other updates. The CERT training is going really well. We're going to do Unit 6 Thursday, and we only have 9 units. They'll be completed. We still have a solid 21 people, so that's 21 people in the community that are trained in numerous topics, so it'll be good. And I'm playing with a lot of training, a lot of exercising, a lot of certificates. I'm working with the hospital on quite a few. We just finished a meeting today on some of the items we're going to do for the hospital and the school district, and then I have the dam exercise coming up Wednesday, and then I have a dam functional exercise in November, which is state, local, and feds are going to that one. So we're moving ahead, and I'm still working on the emergency operations plan. Just found out today, if it's not signed by the board before January 1st, we're not eligible for emergency management performance grant money. The state is putting deadlines on numerous things. I could resubmit what we have, and it's compliant. But we've got some changes to doing it, so we'll have it before the board to look at probably November, and we'll get the signatures from department heads and have it ready to go by mid-December, have it signed off. So we're good there. And then the hazard mitigation plan, we're going to talk about some of that when it comes up. But filling out paperwork and getting matrices and all this stuff to submit in late October for that grant. So about it. Busy. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. That's my motto. That's it, gentlemen.
Okay.
Sounds like smoke and mirrors to me.
It is. Yep. Keep the state and the feds happy. Well, I don't know about happy, but yeah. Unfunded mandates, right?
Where are generators at?
They're en route.
Really?
No.
That's the only question
They've been
I have.
ordered.
I'm like,
I'm
how
waiting
many
on 'em.
more years?
I know.
Where are we at?
The generators have been ordered, and they're backlogged, all of them are backlogged. But after that bidding process, we got the bid, you guys approved it, we got the generators ordered. The smaller one will be in. And I want to say, I have the matrix downstairs, but they were anywhere from 11 months to 18 months out. The 18 are the bigger ones. We're hoping that they come in a little sooner, but we have moving ahead with FEMA's requirements. Every time we turn around, we're having to send in more stuff, but we're moving ahead. And tomorrow you get to look at the bids for the install. So hopefully we'll
What's
start.
the bids for the install are gonna be null and void by the time we get the generators? If we're looking at 18 months and we did that 6 months ago, in a
Right.
year, install bids are not gonna be the same.
Well,
I mean-
we, hopefully they come in, because I don't know what their, we told them it would be anywhere from 11 or 8, I think 8 months, 10 months out to 18. Some of those might come in 14 months. And we said that's what we're looking for, the bids within that time frame. So I don't know if they're going to submit it with a 90-day or 120-day or whatever, but we're going to see what these bids look like and go from there.
Interesting, yeah. Hard to bid a project when you're bidding it a year down the road and
Yeah, I don't know.
not
Well,
knowing
that's
what
our
your costs are
problem
gonna be a
too.
year down the road.
Yep, because the bids that we went on, or the engineering ideas that we had for costs, generators were pretty much in what we were planning on. But remember, FEMA turned the water spigot off, and then they turned it back on, and then they had to wait, and it went on forever. But we came close with the generators, but we didn't come, the install bids probably higher. So we're gonna discuss that too, see where we're at. But those grants are interesting. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay,
More to come.
all right. Sounds good.
Okay,
All right, thank you, sir.
have a nice week.
You too. I do not see Kelly in here.
She is out, so I'm going to present it.
Okay then, Travis.
So these are pretty simple. It's a lump sum. The $25,000 one is for chore services. And basically what this does is helps the elderly with handyman services, lawn mowing, just services that they're unable to afford and can't do themselves. So that's pretty simple. It's a $25,000 request from the Lord Foundation.
And then how do the people get these services? Do they just go through social services and then do we have a system?
Yeah, she has a list over there of
Okay.
people that provide those types of services. And they
Okay.
just go through the social services and get signed up.
Get them? Okay.
And then this one, let me look at my notes she just sent me. So this is a $10,000 lump sum grant. $5,000 for a salad bar and $5,000 for salad bar supplies. As everybody knows, we're trying to improve the services to our seniors through the restructuring, and a lot of them are wanting the salad bar, and I believe that some of that equipment's probably seen better days, and so she's gonna ask for $10,000 in funding for new salad bar equipment. Pretty
I
straightforward.
actually think we made mention of that last time we were over there.
Yeah.
So, perfect. We can ask. May or
That's
may
all we
not
can do,
receive.
sir, is ask.
Okay. Questions? All right, very good. And now we have a discussion on House Bill 24B 1001. Property tax.
So everybody knows that they've done a special session last couple weeks. Made some adjustments to the property tax, and I'll kind of go over some figures that we come up with preliminarily. This is the non-residential, so it'd be the commercial and ag, vacant land. So in 2024, it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of changes. Vacant land is going to stay the same. Ag is at 26.4. General non-resident, 27.9. But if you can look down through here, clean to 27 moving forward, we're losing revenues, losing money based upon the state's 24B 1001. And it looks like it stays at 25% after 27. We'll see what they do in the next couple of years, but
Wasn't that supposed to be for 6 years?
it's supposed to be for 6 years,
Well,
but we'll see if 50 and 108
Right,
comes
if they
back.
don't change the name of the organization.
Correct. It could happen again next year, so, and good for the property owners. I mean, this is all commercial property here is what you're looking at, not residential properties, so, but it makes it harder on us as county government to figure out, you know, what do we keep, what do we not keep, and what goes away, really is the bottom line, but, so that's the commercial properties and vacant land.
Non-residential. Here's the residential. 24 pretty much stays the same as what 233 had. But in 25, you can see the schools go down a little bit, but I believe that they are backfilled by
The state.
where we are not, and our assessment continues to decline, 6.25, and then it goes to 6.8, and then after 26 with 10% off the first 700,000. So if you have a $700,000 home, you'll get a $70,000 adjustment.
$70,000, right.
And my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner, because there's been so many conversations about this, the 5% is basically doing a quasi backdoor to Tabor.
So basically, if there's more than 5% assessed value growth, that's the cap. So what happened when they assessed, and again, this is the way I understand it, because it's been going all over, but in 23, because they assess every odd year, so 23, 25, 27, throughout the state, there were like a 30, on the average, like a 35% increase. Well, that won't happen again with this. It would be only a 5% increase on the growth, on the assessed valuation. That's the AV in this chart. So in other words, even if if the assessed value was, say, 100% more and 25, it's not going to be that. It's only going to give you a cap of 5%. So you'll never see that kind of a spike is what is what the philosophy was behind it, so that it would be something that people could keep up with. And this, we don't see a lot of $700,000 properties down here, although we do have our share of those. So that exemption is not going to hit us significantly, but it does to a certain degree. So the RAR is the bigger one as it drops. In 25, that value will be the 6.25.
Correct.
In 24, it's at 6.7. With the exemption of the 55,000, which is what we'll be dealing with for next year, and then in 25 they'll do the evaluations again every odd year. So in a nutshell, it's just less revenue.
So kind of what we come up with, and this is preliminary figures for, based upon what Leslie provided us, between 23 and 24 revenues was an $800,000 loss. Based upon 24B 1001, looking at another possibly $500,000 loss. So that's $1.3 million in lost revenues. then we're also, just to maintain right now, we're gonna have to pull 1.5 roughly out of reserves just to maintain. So total, you're looking at what, $2.8 million in lost revenue plus pulling from reserves. And I'm still trying to chase down those lost contracts of about $500,000 last year.
Okay.
That's it, sir, unless you gentlemen have anything.
I do have one thing, and this is kind of a clarification or a correction to an article that I read in the Journal on September, I think it was September 5th. Anyway, as it related to the school board, but the statement was that the school board did not receive all of their funds, which is actually incorrect. The school district did receive all of their property taxes. It was reported in the Journal, so that is incorrect. They received $14,624,519.58, which was above their mill certification, which was $14,624,579.58. So it was a difference. They actually received more than their certification of mills by $17,416. So it's kind of hard to read this stuff in the Journal when we don't even get any phone calls asking, what the other side of the story is. It's, I thought journalism used to be something that you got both sides of a story before you just started reporting it, but apparently that's not the case. So just so that everybody knows that the certification of mills, they got more than what was certified by $17,416. So just a correction and clarification. I hope all the journalists out there get both sides of a story before they go start printing something. And that's all that I have. All right, this is adjourned. Thank you all.